Welcome back. This video will explain the Audiogram Air Conduction screen in HearForm Pro. We last left off on the Start screen, but I'm going to go to the Air screen by clicking this button up here. Now that takes me to an area where I can manually input air conduction scores. You might know from another video that in some circumstances you can use a module to transfer data from NOAA to HearForm, or even from HearForm to NOAA. That module typically transfers air, bone, speech, and admittance data, and contact support if you have any questions about that. But if you'd like to manually enter the information, you can do so simply by clicking on the XY coordinate here. I'm just taking the mouse and clicking some random, well, not really random, but these are sample. So we'll put a 4,000 cycle per second dip there, and then we'll continue on and put a similar type of loss over here. Now this is an additional audiogram. There are 8 audiograms in the system for Jennifer now. So I've just that easily put the information in there. I could have clicked this button to transfer the right air scores to the left side, or the left scores to the right side, depending on which one I put in first. And that may save you a bit of time if the audiograms are similar. Otherwise, you may want to manually enter them both independently. Let me show you something about the top here. This says moderate because it's essentially taking a formula that we've set up previously in the setup area right here. I'll just show you what I'm referring to. So we've set up an average pure tone area to include 5, 1, and 2, but I could have included other scores. If you're going to include other scores, you want to make sure that they're all entered for the average pure tone to be accurately achieved. You can also set up your hearing loss formula here to say anything less than 21 dB is considered normal or mild to moderate, etc. So you can set those up ahead of time, and then the system will change. For example, if I change 500 here, 1,000 here, and well, it's already gone, excuse me, I went to the wrong one, but it's already changed now here to normal hearing. So if I were to, you wouldn't really necessarily have an audiogram like this, but if I were to change that, now it's a severe to profound loss. So that's being calculated each time you change one of these numbers here. If you want to, you can manually change that to severe, but keep in mind that if you make another change here, it might update then based on the new formula. So you can override it as long as you don't change anything, then that will stay. I didn't get that in very well. So the same is true over on the left here. You can change it, or you can have the system calculate that based on the formulas that we discussed earlier. Now we don't automatically put in this slope or type area here, so you can put in a reverse cookie bite or precipitous loss or a conductive sensory mixed neural, whatever it is, mixed sensory neural I should have said. You can put in your own choices there. We don't determine that for you. And the reason that you'd want to do that is then if you're going to use audiometric reporting in the SOAP notes area, then it will automatically merge that information. I'll just put something here as a sensory neural, for example, and let me do precipitous there, and maybe that's mixed or whatever it is. That information, as you'll see in another video, will flow into the audiometric report in paragraph form, so it might make a bit more sense. So down here to the right, we can click a button and either show or hide certain scores on the center graph in particular, where I can hide or show air conduction scores or bone, no response symbols, masking, that sort of thing for both the right and the left ears, so play around with that. And then if you use effective masking fields, then you can click this button. I'll close that just to show you. Now we have some things that we didn't even see before, and you can enter information into fields that were previously hidden. I'm going to hide them again, but if you want to use those, that's how you show them. We hide them by default just to make it less cluttered. So down here we have a very light red and very light blue area. You can manually change the information right there if desired, and you'll see how it redraws the graph right away. So you can update that information as needed manually this way. You could type in a number, but we suggest that you stick with the numbers here because the system really needs it to be a 0 or a 5 in the ending of 15, 25, 35, etc. So it's just as easy to select it from the drop-down list of choices. Now you can determine whether or not something is no response, or whether it's masking, and it will change those symbols. Our system still does not connect the lines if they're masking or no responses. We're still working on that, but so we understand that that's a request, and we look forward to doing that in the future. But for now, those lines do not connect, and they'll only connect if they're air and bone and that sort of thing. So please keep that in mind. You can also clear your responses by clicking a button here, and it'll clear your masking or toggle back and forth depending on what your need is. Let's click clear here, and I'm just going to clear these out. So we can toggle these, or we can put for the right or left ear, we can put them all on or off, etc. So I'm going to clear those again and make sure that we don't have any no response or masking symbols on there. That just might be a little bit of time saver for you, but you can manually choose masking for any one of those. And notice the symbol changes in the center only here. So that's just something to keep in mind. If we change this here, then we see a little triangle there. But again, no line is connecting those, which is a little disconcerting, but we are working on that issue. Just like before, you can click here. If you can't see off to the side, then you can see these different things and navigate back and forth between them. These other audiograms for Jennifer, we can delete an audiogram with sufficient rights. And then also, if you're using an iPad or an iPhone, we don't have the ability to use this screen because plugins cannot load on an iPad or an iPhone. So we have to use an old-fashioned way of doing it, and that's where you would just click here with your finger, for example, or an Apple Pencil, and put the information in here. So it's not as advanced, but it does get the job done. And again, we're working on, for a future edition, the ability to use something called a server script that will run your plugins from the server as opposed to from your iPad. So we're working on that. When you want to go back to air conduction from an iPad, you can just click the air button, and then we're back here. In the next video, we'll discuss bone conduction for the audiometric module.